The vote is final, my older brother Marcus declared, shuffling the papers in front of him with an air of smug authority. 4 votes to remove Olivia from her position as Chief Operating Officer, 1 vote against. I sat at the long conference table in our family business's main office, the same table where our father had taught us about running Callahan Construction Supply when we were children. Now my 4 siblings, Marcus, Ethan, Diana, and Victoria, sat on one side while I sat alone on the other. My name is Olivia Callahan, and I'd just been voted out of the company our grandfather built from nothing. This is about the future of the business, Marcus continued, not meeting my highs. We need to be aggressive, ruthless, even. You're too, he paused, searching for the right word. Soft, Diana finished examining her manicured nails. You care too much about the little things. Employee welfare programs, environmental impact studies, community outreach. That's not how you run a construction supply company. I looked at each of them in turn. Marcus, 38, who'd been scheming for total control since father retired. Ethan, 36, always following Marcus's lead. Diana, 34, who'd never forgiven me for being father's favorite. And Victoria, 30, the youngest, who probably voted against me just to avoid being the next target. Those little things increased our profit margins by 22% last year, I said quietly. Happy employees are productive employees. Sustainable practices attract better contracts. Community goodwill opens new markets. Numbers can be manipulated, Ethan scoffed. The fact is, you're holding us back from real growth. We need to cut costs, squeeze suppliers, maximize short-term gains. I thought about my latest project, a revolutionary eco-friendly concrete mixture that could reduce construction carbon emissions by 40%. The research was nearly complete, the patents almost ready to file. And the innovation division? I asked. The new products in development? Waste of resources, Marcus waved his hand dismissively. We're shutting it down. This is a supply company, not a research lab. My heart sank. 5 years of work, millions in potential revenue, all about to be scrapped because my siblings couldn't see beyond the next quarter's profits. The severance package is generous. Diana pushed a document across the table. 6 months' salary, plus your shares will be bought out at current market value. I didn't touch the paper. Dad trusted me with operations for a reason. Dad's retired, Marcus snapped. And his old-fashioned ideas about business ethics and family legacy retired with him. This is business, Olivia. Real business. I thought about calling father, who was probably tending his roses in Arizona, blissfully unaware that his children were destroying everything he built. But he'd been clear when he stepped down. It's your generation's time now. Handle it amongst yourselves. Fine. I stood up, leaving the severance package untouched. I'll have my office cleared by end of day. Don't forget to sign the non-compete agreement, Ethan called out as I reached the door. No working for competitors for 2 years. I turned back, finally smiling. Oh, I won't be working for competitors. They didn't understand my meaning. Not yet. In my office, I began methodically packing my personal items. Family photos from happier times, awards for sustainability initiatives, the plaque for Most Innovative Regional Business 2023. My phone buzzed. A message from Jack Torres, my head of research and development. Just heard. What happens to the Eco Concrete project? Pack everything up, I replied. All research, all data. Don't leave any copies. Another message, this one from Maria in HR. They can't do this. Half the staff is talking about quitting. I thought carefully before responding. Don't do anything rash. Not yet. By 3 p.m., my office was almost empty. Through the glass walls, I could see Marcus showing someone around. Probably my replacement, someone who shared his aggressive vision. My phone buzzed again. Kevin Chen, CEO of Pacific Regional Builders, our biggest client. Heard rumors about changes at Callahan. Need to discuss our upcoming contracts. Dinner tonight? I smiled, remembering how many times my siblings had complained about my unnecessary client relationships. All those dinners, site visits, and personal touches they saw as wastes of time. Love to, I replied, 7 p.m. at the Capitol Grill. As I carried the last box to my car, Jack met me in the parking lot. The Eco Concrete research, he said quietly. All backed up and secured. No traces left on company servers. Good, because they're shutting down the innovation division. His face darkened. After everything we've achieved, the patents we've filed, the contracts we've won, Marcus thinks innovation is a waste of resources. Jack laughed bitterly. Marcus thinks anything that takes longer than 3 months to show profit is a waste. What's your plan? I looked up at the building with our family name emblazoned across the top. Callahan Construction Supply, founded in 1962 by our grandfather with nothing but a truck and a dream. Come by my house tomorrow morning, I said. Bring the research. And Jack, start thinking about what you want in a new R&D lab. A real one. That evening, I sat across from Kevin Chen at the Capitol Grill, watching him process what I just told him. They voted you out? He shook his head in disbelief. You're the reason we give Callahan 60% of our business. Marcus has different ideas about how to run things. Marcus, Kevin snorted. The one who couldn't tell Portland cement from fly ash during the site inspection. Who tried to sell us substandard rebar last year. I sipped my wine. The same. And the Eco Concrete project? Our sustainability initiative depends on that. Canceled as of this morning. Kevin sat back, fingers drumming on the table. Olivia, let me be direct. Pacific Regional works with Callahan because of you. Your innovation, your reliability, your understanding of where the industry is heading. If you're out, he let the sentence hang. I pulled out my phone, opening an email I'd received that afternoon. Interesting timing. I just got an offer to lease an industrial facility in South Boston. Fully equipped lab space, distribution center, office complex. Previous tenant was a materials research company. Kevin's eyes narrowed. The non-compete agreement only applies to existing products and services, not, I smiled, to new, innovative construction materials that don't exist yet. He leaned forward. Tell me more. By the time dessert arrived, we had the outline of a plan. Kevin would shift 40% of Pacific Regional's business to my new company as soon as we were operational. More importantly, he'd connect me with other major builders who were interested in sustainable construction materials. One condition, he said as we finished our coffee, I want first rights to the Eco Concrete when it's ready. Deal. That night, I sat in my home office, looking at old family photos. There was grandfather teaching us about different types of concrete when we were kids. Father showing me how to test material strength in the lab. My siblings and I at company picnics, holiday parties, site celebrations. All those memories, all that history, thrown away because Marcus and the others thought being soft meant being weak. My phone buzzed. A message from Victoria. I'm sorry, Liv. I tried to vote against it, but you know how Marcus is. I didn't respond. Victoria had made her choice. Another message from Maria in HR. Engineering team is furious about the innovation division closing. 3 senior managers already updated their LinkedIn profiles. Perfect. I opened my laptop and began typing, announcing the formation of Nova Materials Technology, specializing in next-generation sustainable construction materials. The non-compete agreement sat unsigned on my kitchen counter. Marcus and the others thought they were protecting the family business from competition. They didn't realize they were about to create their biggest competitor. Because sometimes being soft, caring about employees, focusing on innovation, building real relationships isn't weakness. It's the foundation of something stronger than they could imagine. And I was about to prove it. The South Boston industrial facility looked nothing like Callahan's polished corporate headquarters. No marble lobby, no expensive artwork, no family name in giant letters across the facade. But as I stood in the vast research lab space, watching Jack Torres inspect the equipment, I saw something better, possibility. This is perfect, Jack said, examining a materials testing station. Better than what we had at Callahan. And look, dedicated environmental controls for the concrete curing room. It had been 2 weeks since my forced exit from the family business. 2 weeks of nonstop planning, organizing, and quiet recruiting. How many from the old team are coming? I asked, though I already knew the answer. All of them, Jack grinned. The entire R&D department resigned this morning. Should be hitting Marcus's desk right about. My phone buzzed. A message from Maria in HR. Mass exodus happening. Marcus is having a meltdown. Just screamed, what do you mean the whole innovation team quit? Another message followed quickly, this one from Ethan. What are you playing at, Olivia? This is sabotage. I ignored both messages, focusing instead on the email from my patent attorney. Eco-concrete patent applications filed. All research properly documented as completed prior to leaving Callahan. They can't touch it. When can we start testing? I asked Jack. He was already unpacking the equipment. Give me 3 days to set up. The team starts Monday. We could have preliminary results by end of month. Perfect timing for the industry conference in Chicago. Jack looked up sharply. The one where Callahan always announces their yearly product line? I smiled. The very same. The next few weeks passed in a blur of activity. While Jack and the R&D team set up the lab, I focused on building the business infrastructure. The industrial space included modern offices, which quickly filled with familiar faces. Maria joined as head of human resources, bringing with her decades of institutional knowledge and a contact list of every skilled worker in the industry. 3 senior project managers from Callahan followed, along with their key staff. You should see Marcus trying to handle client meetings, one of them told me over coffee. Tried explaining load-bearing calculations to Boston Municipal. Nearly lost the city contract. My phone buzzed constantly with updates from Callahan. Diana, this is ridiculous. Those were our employees. Victoria, please talk to Marcus. He's making terrible decisions. Ethan, Dad's asking questions. What should we tell him? I archived each message without responding. They'd made their choice. Kevin Chen from Pacific Regional visited our facility in the 3rd week, touring the lab where our eco-concrete was already showing promising results. Impressive, he said, examining the test samples. How soon until full production? 2 months, I replied. Just in time for your Harrison Street project. He nodded approvingly. Callahan's quality has been slipping. Marcus tried to raise prices 20% last week, claimed market conditions. Didn't even know about the regional cement shortage that's actually driving costs. Because he fired everyone who understood the supply chain, I said. How much business have they lost? We've cut them to 30% of our contracts. Other builders are doing the same. He paused. You know they're scrambling to develop their own eco-friendly products. I laughed. With what team? They shut down R&D, remember. Hired some fresh graduates. Marcus keeps talking about young energy and disruptive thinking. Kevin shook his head. They tested their first batch yesterday. Concrete didn't even set properly. That evening, as I reviewed business projections in my new office, Maria brought in an interesting email, an invitation to bid on the city's new sustainable infrastructure project. Value, $50 million. Callahan always gets these contracts, she said. Not anymore, I smiled. Their sustainability certification lapsed last month. Nobody there even noticed. My phone buzzed. Victoria. Dad's coming back next week. Board meeting called. Please tell me you'll consider returning if we vote Marcus out. I stared at the message for a long moment. Victoria had always been the peacemaker, trying to smooth over family conflicts. But she'd still voted to remove me. Too late, I typed back. Nova Materials launches next month. 3 dots appeared as she typed, then disappeared. No response. The following week brought another surprise. Diana showed up at our facility unannounced, designer heels clicking on the polished concrete floor. Wow, she said, looking around the modern space. This is not what I expected. Can I help you with something? She shifted uncomfortably. The Thompson contract. They're threatening to switch suppliers. Something about innovative materials and better service. Sounds like a them problem. Olivia, be reasonable. That account is worth millions. Just tell them to stay with Callahan. For family. I looked at my sister, really looked at her. Family? Like when you voted me out for being too soft. That was business, she protested. Exactly, and this? I gestured around at Nova Materials. This is business too. After she left, Jack found me staring out the window at the Boston skyline. You okay? He asked. They still don't get it, I said. They think this is about revenge. They don't understand I'm building something better. He nodded toward the lab. Latest test results are in. The eco-concrete doesn't just reduce carbon emissions, it's stronger than traditional mixtures, could revolutionize the industry. I smiled. Just in time for the Chicago conference. The annual Construction Innovation Conference was the industry's biggest event. Every major player would be there, including Callahan Construction Supply. Marcus had already been bragging about their presentation slot. the same slot our father had used for years to showcase genuine innovations. How many clients are meeting us there? Jack asked. 15 confirmed, including the head of the city's infrastructure committee. My phone buzzed. A message from Kevin. Callahan just lost the Stewart Development Project. Marcus quoted them year-old prices, didn't know about the new environmental requirements. They're asking about Nova Materials. Perfect timing. That night, I received an unexpected call. My father. Olivia. His voice was tired. What's happening to our company? I sat down heavily. You'll have to ask Marcus. He's in charge now. Marcus says you're trying to destroy the family business. Diana claims you stole employees. Ethan's talking about lawsuits. And Victoria? A pause. Victoria says we made a terrible mistake. I thought about the Eco-Concrete project, about the years spent building relationships and developing innovations, about being called too soft for caring about more than quick profits. The company's destroying itself, Dad. I'm just building something new. He was quiet for a long moment. The Chicago conference is next week. I know. Your grandfather always said the construction business is built on 3 things: quality, innovation, and trust. Seems to me only one of his grandchildren remembered that. After we hung up, I walked through our facility. The lab was still lit, Jack and his team working late on final tests. The office spaces hummed with energy as project managers prepared client presentations. Everything felt alive, purposeful. My phone buzzed one last time, an email from the conference organizers, confirming Nova Materials presentation slot, main stage, day 2, 10 a.m. Directly following Callahan Construction Supply. I smiled, imagining Marcus's face when he realized what was coming. He thought he was protecting the family business by pushing me out. Instead, he'd inspired me to build its replacement, and Chicago would be just the beginning. The Chicago Conference Center buzzed with energy as I stood backstage, watching Marcus struggle through Callahan's presentation. The massive screen behind him displayed graphs that even he didn't seem to understand. And our new eco-friendly initiative, he stumbled, flipping through his notes. We're committed to sustainability. In the audience, I could see Kevin Chen and other major clients shifting uncomfortably. They knew what Callahan had been, what it had become under Marcus's leadership. Diana and Ethan sat in the front row, trying to maintain confident expressions. Victoria was nowhere to be seen. Our father, who had flown in from Arizona, sat in the back, watching silently. Questions? Marcus asked hopefully as he finished. The silence was deafening. As he left the stage, looking rattled, the conference moderator stepped up. And now, making their industry debut, please welcome Nova Materials Technology and their CEO, Olivia Callahan. I heard Marcus's sharp intake of breath as I passed him. He hadn't known I was next. Thank you, I said, taking the stage. Let's talk about the future of construction. For the next 30 minutes, I laid out our vision, not with vague buzzwords or empty promises, but with real innovation. Jack controlled the presentation from his laptop, showing live data from our Eco-Concrete tests. 40% reduction in carbon emissions, I explained. 30% stronger than traditional mixtures, and thanks to our proprietary formulation, cost competitive with standard materials. The audience leaned forward. These were industry professionals who understood exactly what these numbers meant. But this isn't just about one product, I continued. It's about reimagining how construction supply companies can operate. About building something sustainable, not just environmentally, but economically and ethically. I clicked to the next slide, Nova's employee profit-sharing program, our community investment initiatives, our partnerships with local technical schools. Because innovation isn't just about materials, it's about people. About understanding that long-term success comes from building real value, not just quarterly profits. In the front row, Diana had stopped pretending to look confident. Ethan was frantically typing on his phone. And in the back, our father nodded slowly. Nova Materials is accepting new client partnerships starting next month, I concluded. For those interested, we're hosting a technical demonstration this afternoon. Thank you. The applause was immediate and enthusiastic. As I left the stage, clients were already lining up to speak with me. Olivia, Marcus grabbed my arm. This is illegal. The non-compete doesn't cover new technologies, I cut him off. Maybe you should have read it before trying to force me to sign. Our lawyers. Already reviewed everything, I smiled. Every patent, every innovation, properly documented as developed after my departure. But feel free to waste money on lawsuits instead of actually improving your company. I turned to the growing crowd of interested clients, leaving Marcus sputtering behind me. The afternoon demonstration was standing room only. Jack and our team showed the Eco Concrete in action, answering technical questions with the expertise that only comes from years of research. Incredible, the city's infrastructure director said, examining the test samples. How soon can you begin supplying the municipal project? We're ready to start immediately, I replied. My phone buzzed constantly. Kevin, board meeting called for tomorrow. Callahan shareholders demanding answers. Maria, 3 more Callahan managers just sent resumes. Victoria, Marcus is trying to claim you stole company secrets. Dad shut him down hard. I ignored them all, focusing on the potential clients eager to discuss partnerships. By evening, we had preliminary commitments worth over $100 million in annual revenue. At the conference reception that night, I stood with Jack and our team, celebrating our successful launch. Across the room, Marcus huddled with Diana and Ethan, looking shell-shocked. Olivia. I turned to find our father standing there. Dad. Walk with me. We stepped out onto the terrace overlooking Chicago's skyline. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Your grandfather would be proud, he finally said. Of what? Competing with the family business? He shook his head. Of building something meaningful. Of understanding what really matters in this industry. He paused. Marcus wanted me to try to stop you. Threatened to sue you for everything you've got. And I reminded him that I still own 30% of Callahan's shares. That I could call a board meeting tomorrow and remove him as CEO. I looked at my father sharply. Will you? No, he sighed. He needs to learn this lesson the hard way. They all do. Back inside, Kevin Chen was gathering his coat. Dinner? He asked as I approached. Several clients want to discuss switching their full supply contracts to Nova. How many? Enough to take about 60% of Callahan's market share within 6 months. I thought about Marcus's smug dismissal of my soft approach to business. About Diana's contempt for employee welfare programs. About Ethan's obsession with short-term profits. Let's discuss it over dinner, I agreed. The next morning, industry news sites were buzzing. Nova Materials disrupts construction supply industry with revolutionary Eco Concrete. Former Callahan executive launches innovative competitor, Sustainable Construction. The next generation. Diana called as I was checking out of my hotel. The board is meeting in an hour, she said, her voice tense. Shareholders are demanding Marcus' resignation. Dad won't intervene. Please, we can still fix this. Come back. Name your price. It was never about price, Diana. You still don't understand. Then explain it to me. You can't buy innovation. You can't force loyalty. You can't build something lasting by only thinking about the next quarter's profits. I paused. But you're about to learn that the hard way. Victoria was waiting by my car in a hotel parking garage. I'm sorry, she said simply. I should have stood up to them. Yes, you should have. I want to join Nova. I looked at my youngest sister, seeing real regret in her eyes. Why? Because you were right. About everything. About innovation, about treating people right, about building for the future instead of just taking from the present. She straightened. I want to learn to do it right. Start in project management, I said after a moment. Learn the business from the ground up, no shortcuts. Her smile was genuine. Thank you. 1 year later, I stood in Nova's expanded headquarters, watching our third production facility under construction across the street. The company had grown faster than even I had projected. Callahan Construction Supply had survived, barely. Marcus had been forced out as CEO, replaced by an industry veteran. They'd scaled down, focusing on traditional materials for smaller projects. Their stock was worth a quarter of its previous value. My phone buzzed. Jack sending the latest test results from our newest innovation, self-repairing concrete that could extend infrastructure lifespan by decades. Another message followed from Kevin. City just approved the waterfront development contract. $200 million, all materials supplied by Nova. I walked through our R&D lab, now 3 times its original size. Teams of engineers worked on various projects, the energy and enthusiasm palpable. In the office area, Victoria led a client meeting, having earned her role through real work and understanding. My father had been right about what mattered in this industry: quality, innovation, and trust. My siblings had forgotten that, thinking aggressive cost-cutting and short-term profits were the path to success. They called me too soft because I cared about employees, about sustainability, about building something meaningful. Now they understood that soft didn't mean weak. Sometimes it meant being strong enough to start over, smart enough to build something better, and wise enough to know that real success comes from creating value, not just taking it. Ms. Callahan, my assistant, appeared at the door. The industry association is on the line. They want you to keynote next year's conference. Something about the future of sustainable construction. I smiled, remembering last year's conference, Marcus's stumbling presentation. The launch of Nova, the beginning of everything. Tell them I'd be happy to speak, I said. I have a lot to say about building things that last. Because that's what this was really about. Not revenge or competition, but proving that the old way of doing business, the ruthless, short-sighted way, was itself outdated. Nova wasn't just a company. It was a blueprint for something better, and we were just getting started.